Burrow airs it out. Chase. Hello. Touchdown.
And I got a voice inside that needs to be fed.
Are two of the best historically, just not thus far. Against these receivers.
Making the Judkins again, and there is Smith roaming free, breaks a tackle. Ohio State strikes quickly.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the new era of Ohio Sports Talk. We are going through some changes for the better, and I am happy to announce that Rudy is going to be a new host here at Ohio Sports Talk. I hate calling it a co-host. When we're both rocking and rolling, there's no such thing in this industry. Rudy, welcome to the show, my man. It's been a long time coming. We've had some good discussions, and I am proud to have you on, sir.
I appreciate that. Thanks for having me on. I know that we had a great show the last time, and there's just so much to talk about, so many activities going on in all sports, whether you're talking about the Summer League, you're talking about Judkins, things are moving, things are shaking, and you know, the eggs in the fridge are getting hard. So thanks for having me on. It's great to be here. I'm excited to get this new era rolling. Of course, if you guys like my cup of tea and you maybe will like it full and not empty, you can always go to Rudy Reyes on Twitter and check it out. I love tweeting during live game segments, whether it's in the NFL or NBA or heck, even Wimbledon for that matter. We'll touch on all that. We're going to talk about all the good stuff. So good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for agreeing to come on. It's been a long time coming. We've done a few projects together, and I'm glad to make this all happen. But let's dive in. Like you said, we're a little bit late. I am a little bit late. I didn't get to have you on Monday. Had a few things come up, but we just wrapped up the All-Star game. We had Wimbledon. We got contract talks going everywhere for both professional teams in Ohio when it comes to the NFL. Rudy, which one do you want to nail on first? What do we want to sink in liner?
You know, there's some teeth I want to sink into. If you're a Bengals fan, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because there are lots of rumors going on right now, and some of those rumors translate into issues on the field. Joe Burrow said it himself that he's tired of distraction. He doesn't want to be a distraction. He doesn't want conversations of contracts to be a reason why this team can't get it together right before training camp. San Diego Chargers in the AFC started their training camp today. He doesn't want those or any type of distractions to deter this team from righting the ship after an abysmal year last year, just barely missing the playoffs. But, you know, as they say, barely missing or not, you still missed it. Lots of things going on there. Trey, I mean, when you look at Hendrickson, Jordan, there's a lot of problems with this. Yeah, you can focus on your wide receivers. You can focus on different pieces of the pie to, make this taste better than what it should be. But, I mean, let's face it, without Hendrickson, this team does not have a consistent pass rush. He's missed right now. He will be missed as long as contract negotiations are ongoing. What's the latest on Trey Hendrickson?
It's still a little bit of a standoff. Trey Hendrickson, the positive part, he's still in the area. He's still working with his organization. He did host a kids camp a week ago right here in the Cincinnati area. So things are not to the point where he's packed his bag to go ball somewhere else. He's very much in the community and active. But, as for what's going on, not too much from each side. We have projections. We're projecting a 2-year contract at $72 million and $42 million that guaranteed is the focus in the area for numbers wise. The fact that numbers are coming out, that's only been about 2 weeks or so in my tri-state area here in Ohio where we're actually getting solid numbers. So, I'm happy that came out. But, like you said, he is the staple. I mean, he's got 35 sacks in the last 2 seasons, 89 total tackles, 35 tackles for loss. 9 passes deflected alone, and he represents 162 pressures the last 2 seasons, which is a whopping 82% and some change, Rudy, from the defensive line. So outside of BJ Hill, those numbers are pretty dramatically low. So I am, I'm definitely a little scared here. We're going into training camp. We've got the rookie contract over our head, but not locking him down. And the AFC North news that will definitely bust as well with Watt's deal getting done in Pittsburgh. All pressure is on the Cincinnati front office right now. They almost have to get this done, and I don't think a trade's in the cards either. What's your perspective of outside looking in?
Well, I look at this and think to myself, this guy is your defense. I mean, he has these athletic power moves off the line. He's got great swim moves. He gets by would-be offenders, guards, tackles. I mean, the guy is a one-man wrecking machine. And yeah, he does get some help from Hill, and that's great. But when you are the sole percentage provider for pressures that lead to sacks, or at least disrupting the quarterback to throw incompletions, is an easy 3 and out when you get those pressures, because that discombobulates what the quarterback is doing, disabling him from making completions down the field. And it's easier for the secondary, let's just call it what it is, to be able to, further put pressure on the wide receivers or tight ends, whether they're in the slot or not, or on the outside, depending on the formation. Without Hendrickson, I don't know that I would only give him, $77 million. I'd probably bump that up a little bit more to help him feel good about coming back to training camp. I don't mean like a vet min, obviously, because he doesn't qualify for that. But when you look at what TJ Watt's deal, $123 million and over $1 million guaranteed at signing, he got his bag. Even though Watt was injured during certain segments of the season, Hendrickson has been the model consistent player. Let's just call it what it is. So if you're going to entice him, you put a lot of guaranteed money up front on that deal, as well as make it even a 3-year deal, because he's still young. He doesn't have the miles on the tires that TJ Watt has. He doesn't have the miles that even Micah Parsons for the Dallas Cowboys, who's chomping at the bit right now, looking at new contract negotiations at Jerry Jones and winking at him saying, hey man, where's my bag? So you're going to probably up the ante here for Hendrickson, keep him part of that team. They didn't do a whole lot during the draft. They didn't do a whole lot in free agency to acquire, free agent, pass rushers. There are still some guys out there. And of course you hear about retirements going left and right today. I'm just kind of blown away at all of them. So, when it's all said and done, that's not the only deal, though. That's not the only problem that the Bengals have. They have Shamar Stewart also with contract issues going on right now. A lot of uncertainty in Cincinnati with the Bengals, and I know the Browns are looking from across the way and saying, you don't seem to have that problem. Well, they may within the next year or two. But they have their binoculars looking square on the Bengals' chest and say, hey, you're in the AFC. You guys better figure it out because we're coming for you. So we're going to find out exactly what this deal looks like. And then T. Higgins, also some added tension because he's looking for a better deal. And in all honesty,
T's under contract, so we did lock him up. We locked T and Jamar Chase up, so I will give him some credit on that. Those two are a pair. They're paired up. I believe T. Higgins is making just under $25 million a year right now for the next 3 years, 4th year, player optional. So we got him locked up 100%. Chase is locked up and paid, but for me, it's all eyes on the defense. I think our offense is pretty well set, and we'll see how the guard position shakes out, via draft and having a new guy come in free agency. So we have 2 new keys there at guard, but defensively, it's going to be, like you said, it's going to be all about the pass rush and what can we do and what we can't do. And in my mind, under Al Golden, new face, new voice in the locker room when it comes to the defense. Can he unlock Myles Murphy? Will Myles Murphy continue to be on the bus train, or can he step up to a 7 to even 8 sack season? We'll see. That's yet to be determined. We drafted the defensive tackle from Michigan last year. We'll see how that pans out. He was injured for a big portion of the year, missing most of training camp. So, there's just a lot of questions marks, but, without Trey, it's just such a huge gap because we really don't have anything to answer that at the moment. But I'm confident that T. Higgins is pretty locked in, unless you're hearing something different.
Well, Katie Blackburn's really going to have to step up here and really bite the bullet, because being the new, being the EVP, she has a work cut out for her, with all these contract questions, and I'm sure the agents are also being pressed relatively hard in regards to, hey man, can you just tell them to lower that value just a little bit, that dollar value, maybe able to squeeze him in here if he agrees to X, Y, and Z and ABC. So this is always a back and forth. Contract negotiations are always great if they go your way right before training camp, because now you feel good. You feel good about the bag. You feel good about how heavy it is, and you're going to go in and work like what? A heavyweight champ, which is what these guys are trying to accomplish. Yes. And right now it's all about the defense. But if you're Katie Blackburn, you're going to have to pull this a lot faster than later and really quash a lot of this, a lot of the conversation in regards to what this wait and see looks like for Trey Hendrickson. It's a big deal. It needs to happen sooner than later. But when it starts flowing onto other players and their plates, and that's all they hear about, they can't really focus on anything. Then they all of a sudden turn over their shoulder thinking, well, what about my contract? Where's my bag? And it disrupts things. And then you have the rumors. So look, she's going to have to quash it. That's all there is to it. I mean, they're not going to get close to a TJ Watt deal. Let's just call it what it is, because they just don't. Absolutely. They don't have the funds. They just don't have it. Maybe in extended amount of times, pepper that up a little bit. You're going to have some incentive play, what that means monetarily for an individual player, right? If you reach so many sacks, you get X amount of dollars. If you make it to the AFC Championship game, you get X amount of dollars, right? So, without dollars, it makes no sense. And if they don't add in the dollars for Trey Hendrickson's contract, he's going to look at it and say, you know what, this doesn't make sense. He's just going to end up sitting out. And then what do? Then you're really stuck. And BJ Hill and company, they're going to have to figure it out on the run, on the go through the regular season. And that is not what they want. Let's put this in contrast, and we'll move on to the Reds, because I think this is important to know. TJ Watt with a $41 million deal, average value, it's an annual value, right? Jamar Chase, 40.25. Myles Garrett, $40 million. So when you look at the high top-tiered guys, leave it to the Steelers to add extra money just to kind of blacken the eye further of guys like Jamar Chase or Myles Garrett. They just got one-upped. So we'll see what happens with this Hendrickson contract, because right now I don't know where it actually stands. And, TJ could end up being an all-star on this team, and I don't mean postseason all-star. I mean like every game athletic all-star, because he's definitely earned it, no doubt about it. Speaking of all-stars, we look at what happened in the NLAL game. I mean, I don't like how it ended, but I like how it played out. Does that make sense? Well, it should.
No, it does. It does. I think it was extremely entertaining. Even going all the whole 9 innings, but seeing the star power, seeing it divided, I thought the managers did a good job on getting some of the secondary guys out. I know the NL started in the 6th inning on kind of getting those bench players out. They got the lower vote counts, but I think it was everything as advertised. The NL came out swinging, but it just wasn't enough. The AL's had their number. I believe it was like the last 5 seasons, and they've been outran. I think it was like 6-2 score wise. So yeah, it's been a really long time coming, but I think this year just had a little extra. It felt like a little extra power to it. Some of the younger guys, some of the first-year guys. We got the catcher winning the home run derby for the first time ever for his position. I think that says a lot, because you think about guys like Mike Piazza growing up, and how that position's been kind of played on and off with power bats throughout especially in AL. But right. It does make sense. I'll let you continue. I didn't mean to cut you off there, but I did. Definitely was super entertained this year. It just felt like it had an extra spark, a little more.
It did. You know what? That spark came from the home run derby. let's just call it what it is, right?
Yes.
Because you've seen O'Neal Cruz from the Pirates just lighting up at 513 feet. I mean, he took that thing over the wall. It was beautiful. It was just great to see. And then you had Paul Skeens, and then you had all these different players who just brought their A game, who were obviously only a part of the home run derby, but they did fabulous job. And when you get to the swing off, I mean, man, come on. That was fabulous. You got to admit, red or no red, everybody was seeing red, right? Speaking of Reds, Andrew Abbott of the Reds had been stellar all season long, right? He had a 2.0 ERA. He has 8-1 as a starter, pitched 91 innings with a 1.08 whip, which I'm actually very impressed with, and received an all-star nod, and respectfully so, to be perfectly honest with you. But he was the only pitcher that was nabbed by the Reds to play in this game. And
I think some of that's health. Hunter Green has missed the last 2 months of some change. His projection before that injury, everything was pointing that he was going to be an all-star. But it definitely Andrew Abbott being the real backbone, 8-1, like you said, a 1.08 ERA. Just unbelievable baseball. The defense kind of shows up for him too, because he's had a couple close calls. But this is a season I think we're never going to forget as Reds fans when it comes to some of our outside big time guys that are hurt right now. So to see Andrew Abbott absolutely do this night in and night out, and it was really nice to see him go 1, 2, 3. It was he 2 ground outs and a pop up against some power bats. That's something special there.
Yeah, no, and you know what? I foresee him being much more as a part of this rotation for the Reds, right? You look at guys like Nick Lodolo, Nick Martinez, and not Nick at Night. You have Abbott still in there, Brady Singer, Chase Burns, leading all these, leading the entire pitching rotation. You know what? They seem to be learning more so this year. Whether or not they're contenders in the NL Central, that remains to be seen. But they just look really good. They get on hot streaks and then they cool down. Then they get on hot streaks and then they cool down. I'm looking for a lot more consistency from this Reds team down the stretch, especially post All-Star game. Whether or not they're going to learn on the run, we're going to find out. But you know what? There's another team that doesn't seem to know how to learn. When I say learn, I mean, I'm not talking ABCs of 1, 2, 3, Jordan. I'm talking about if the Browns have learned anything, is that they really haven't learned anything.
No.
Does that make sense?
No, and that's well said. It doesn't make sense from any standpoint. And one of our producer Doug is a huge Browns guy, and I'm around a lot of Browns fans. I coach high school football up at Alter, and a lot of the coaching staff there are Browns fans. So as fans, they learned, but as a front office, they haven't, because Rudy, every time the Browns make a move, the fan base is like, they throw their hat down and they're, we're pulling our hair back and, we're wondering, what the hell? And, but it's like the front office, they don't get it. They just, one mistake after another. Now, granted, and we kind of talked offline about this, Judkin's situation, I didn't hear a lot of negativity. This wasn't like Johnny Manziel, 8 or 9 years ago, when everything in the draft told us don't do it. His teammates said don't do it. His coaching staff silently said, I love the guy, but don't do it. Judkins coming out of Ohio State had a lot of positivity around him. And even when he was at Ole Miss, we didn't hear much negativity about that either. Both coaching staffs, in the pre-draft process, didn't really raise a lot of red flags. So this one is a little bit of a head scratcher to me, unless you know something, or maybe, heard something I didn't, because information about him is just now coming out at, a consistent streaming rate, where when he was drafted, it was more like a raindrop here or there, if anything negative came out. So, I mean, I'm just kind of dumbfounded at the situation with him individually, but, as an organization, they don't learn. We learned that with the Sanders pick. We learned that with the pick before that, going with the the Oregon quarterback and just, back to back. Oh, this is our guy. No, this isn't really our guy. Sanders is our guy. And, now we bring back Flacco, and Flacco could be the guy. And they traded for Kenny Pickett. And, Pickett could be the guy, even though, tiny hands, double gloves, whatever you want to make fun of. I hear it all the time on Ohio Sports Talk on X. That's what's most depicted. But he has a Super Bowl ring as a backup. So, 2 Super Bowl rings between Flacco and Pickett, and then everybody else is just kind of there. So, Rudy, this organization, they've got to get it together, right? Andrew and company over there, they've got to get it together. I don't foresee any good headlines. Contract talks are one thing, but character issues across the board, that shows to me there's a fundamental problem at the top. And, it goes all the way down to the equipment guy, in my opinion. If it starts up here to your ownership and your president and your vice president and your GM and guys making decisions, it's got to run through the staff all the way to, who you got working in the locker room. Wouldn't you think?
Yeah, there's a lot more questions than there are answers. Of course, with the Browns, it's always about who the starting quarterback is going to be. But I think this is more about the inconsistency that just seems to be consistent inconsistency. And I say that because this team took, shots at all these different quarterbacks. That's where quarterbacks go to die. Just call it what it is. I'm surprised there aren't more brown bags hanging over fans' faces in the shame of it all because of what they continue to do, which is in lack thereof. Heck, maybe the towel boy would be the one to make a better decision on the draft day than the actual president. I'm just saying that there's a lot to look at here when character becomes a problem. These guys are cartoon characters, okay? The ones that are in trouble, the ones that continually speed over 100 miles an hour excessively could kill someone and or themselves. And we see this time and time again. Both players, between Sanders and another, I want to say Stewart, if I'm not mistaken, they just can't seem to get these things right. Cannot seem to find character players who follow the law, follow the rules, work within a certain guideline. So you were a 5th round pick if you're Shedeur Sanders. And does that give you an ultimate right to, all of a sudden now you have a free pass to do 100 plus miles an hour on a freeway and potentially kill someone? No, it doesn't. This stuff has just gone way over boundaries here between the quarterback they thought they were getting, who ended up visiting multiple masseuse parlors. He probably owns all of them, or at least he probably should, between 10 to 20, I think. I don't know. I lost count after 10. I can only count with 2 hands. So, there's a lot of problems in Brownsville, and I'm not talking about Texas. I'm talking about in Browntown. I just don't know. The biggest question I have about this entire case, and we'll talk about Judkins, and then we'll kind of segue out of it, because it's just like being a dead horse, and nobody wants to be the horse, right? The victim's mom reported this a few days after the actual incident. So what's really interesting is that it was supposed that he hit the victim potentially in the mouth and chin following an verbal altercation that they had, triggered by messages that Judkins read from her or whatnot. They were in Florida at the time, and it's almost as if he just kept adding into his own problem. Legal issues are legal issues, but now your legal issues now become the team's problem, because you're supposed to be a starter on the field. You're the guy who's supposed to lead this crew into better waters, but instead you're wrapped up in your own turmoil because you don't know when to stop. You don't know when to say when. And this just seems to be an ongoing problem with the guys at the Browns draft. Shamar, a former coworker of mine kept screaming about how they should draft Shedeur, draft Shedeur. And why? Why? Tell me why. 5th round draft pick? Oh, okay, cool. I'm good with that. So it kind of like shut him up a little bit. And I'm thinking, look, man, he's not a 1st round pick. He's not a 2nd round pick. He's not even a 3rd round pick. Maybe 4, maybe. But end up in the 5th? Yeah, okay, so be it. Anyway, they're seeing a lot of drop off. And as far as I'm concerned, organizationally, this team, and they're wanting to build a dome for the team, Really? And they can't work out these issues? Okay.
They did get approved for $600 million. That was officially signed by the governor and lieutenant governor. Lieutenant governor who we've had on this program, Jim Trussell and company, did get that approved. So that is something that is moving forward for their
moving forward for a product that people don't even want to see on nationally televised broadcast networks, much less sitting in the front row with a paper bag over your head. Speaking of paper bags, you might want to put a paper bag on for this one. It's not maybe not such a big deal, but you see a drop off in Major League Baseball when it comes to what? When it comes to ratings, when it comes to viewership. Viewership's everything. We see that things are going up for Major League Baseball. Decisions are being made. They tried the automatic batting system without having any type of enforcement from the strike zone, which is okay. How did that work? Do we know the metrics behind that? I don't have that information. I can't even speak to that credibly. But when it comes to the game overall, look, viewership suffered. It was a 3% decrease from what they'd seen last year. And it fell by 7.1 from 7.4. So 3 million less people watched it. Ouch. That's going to hurt. And look at it from a historical standpoint. This is the second lowest viewer rating in Major League Baseball all-star history. So what does that actually tell you? That there needs to be a winner in baseball? What are your thoughts?
I think it's the day and age, and this is just my perspective, the day and age of how we get sports, especially baseball. If I want to watch a Reds game, I gotta buy the Barstool Sports Network, or I gotta go and get a whole separate package for it. It used to be just on FSN on my local cable, and then FSN kind of folded and became a little bit of streaming, which was all right. Then they got bought out by another company, which I had to pay, $15-20 a month for if I wanted to catch a game. And I know it's like that universally across the board. Right. Baseball is no longer free. It's almost unless you're a big market of Yankees, of the Boston, Cleveland every now and then, and so on and so forth. Unless you're a bigger team, you're LA, stuff like that can get on an ESPN or can get on a Fox Sunday afternoon. Rudy, it's not really accessible. And I think that has a lot to do with it. The times of you just turning on the local TV, and the NFL is not even that bad. If you live in a local area, you can still get some NFL games by antenna, just depending on if it's not, blacked out, which it still works. I still have other services beyond that, but, right. Baseball has become this like monopolized business. I think it's FanDuel who owns most of the networks now when FSN kind of closed out. But yeah, I have to get the FanDuel network, and I either got to get through them or it's got to be, in addition to my Amazon Prime. And I think that, to the average Americans, especially right now, I think it's too expensive because they're already thinking about, well, I spend this much money on the Sunday ticket. I spend this much money for, getting Big Ten games on Peacock exclusively at night. That's what they're already thinking about. They're not thinking about, April, May, June, July. Now you want me to drop another $20-30 a month to watch baseball, which is, 100 plus games a year, not even counting that the NBA is kind of like that too, Rudy. Yeah. And I think that's where baseball suffers. The average American looks and they're like, all right, I got this much money if I want to watch basketball and football, which are the two big ones. And then baseball, I'll catch it when it comes on a Roku Sports, or I'll catch it if we're on a local game. And I think that's where, having the All-Star game free to everybody, I think that's where it suffered because, okay, I haven't watched it for the entire season because it's privatized, or I'm just looking at my phone for the, the wrap-up on ESPN app just to see the end of the game and look at a couple of stats. I think that has almost everything to do with it. I think it needs to be opened back up. It needs to be a little bit cheaper.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're absolutely right. Accessibility and being nickel and dime to death. If you're an actual viewer of baseball, if you're a connoisseur and you're addicted to baseball, this is for you. If you're not, and you're the casual baseball watching fan, what do you think is going to happen? You're going to pay more nickels and more dimes to, scruffle up enough money, take away from your beer fund to watch baseball. Now you don't have any beer. What's the point in this? I think it's falling on deaf ears, and because it's been divvied out to so many different networks and fold. Networks have started, as you stated, and then they fold, and then here comes another network. It's just, it's a rinse and repeat. I'm tired of being nickel and dimed. I'm sure the All-Star game was fabulous from what I'd seen. They were just clips, essentially. I'd rather have watched the game, just like the Home Run Derby was televised. Why not put it in that format as well? Anyway, I digress. I think it's overrated. I think the pricing structures for all these different networks are just, they're out of their mind. And I just don't believe I'm going to be nickel and dime and throw any more Hamiltons or, Abraham Lincolns at this, throwing it at the wall, expecting a different result. Speaking of results, let's move on to our last but not least, because results is what this team needs. And when I say results, I mean FC Cincinnati. So they get good, and then they fall off the planet, and then they re-land back on Mars, and then they find their way back to Earth. This team has shown so many inconsistencies, and I think that has a lot to do with guys like Hagelin, your key center backs between him and Miles Robinson, who've been relatively unavailable, who just have not been there due to injury. That's a problem. Consistent injuries, groin, quads. Look, the buck has to stop somewhere. What this organization is doing right now is nickel and diming its own audience because they don't have the product on the field to stay consistent and or consistently healthy, noting that two guys are your biggest pieces outside of Matt Miyazaga, the reigning 23 MLS Defensive Player of the Year. But he, too, is also injured. Again, too much weight being applied to different places. There's not enough solutions to help make this team stay consistent on the winning track.
Right. And, right now, they have a winning product, but like you said, it is wildly inconsistent to go and face Miami and win 3-0 and then turn around and lose your in-state rival. Hell is real, 2 games before that, Rudy. When you come out and score two goals in the first 12 minutes, then still lose 4-2, which I've never seen. I'm newer to the world of soccer when it comes to on a professional level. FC Cincinnati has this area very much locked in as a fan base. We're actually top 5 ticket sales in MLS. So like you said, ownership needs to do more because the support is definitely there. But, we're sitting in second place. We got 45 points. Philly is 1 point above us at 46, winning 3-0 against Miami, but still statistically losing, Rudy. They, time of possession was 53-47 favor Miami, 4 corner kicks to 1 favoring Miami. Evander had 2 goals. He's got 17 for the team. The FC Cincinnati record's 21. I do think that he will crush that this year by at least 3 or 4. But Dinky is in second place with 12 goals. He did not score in the last 2 contests, which is a big deal because before that, he was leading the team in goals. Then the next guy has 5. That's kind of what we talked offline yesterday about. There's no consistency. We don't have a third and a fourth guy that steps up and does any of the scoring. And, like you beautifully said it, in any sport, no matter if it's soccer, football, etc., or your best hitter in baseball could be on the team. If you walk him, you take him out of the game. If you double team him and cover him, it takes the threat off the field for most athletes. And these teams in the East, they're going right at these guys. And if these guys can't cut loose and score, FC Cincinnati falls by the wayside. So, I'm not taking anything away. They're in second place. We're having a great season. But, they're not going to bring the shield home. It's going to be much like last year, even 2 years ago, when we make it to the dance, but we fall a couple songs short. And, I seriously think that's kind of where they're heading if they don't make some moves. The general manager said he's going to make some moves. We have yet to see it. I know that they hired a little bit aged out veterans to come on and coach and mentor the team. But as for physical ability, that's just not happening right now in FC Cincinnati. I'm thrilled they play again Saturday against Salt Lake. We'll see. It's 7:30 kickoff time there, or 7:30 drop time. Eastern. That'll be on Apple TV. I roll there, Rudy. It's another network that you got a nickel and dime and pay to see it. But it's we'll see. The GM's got to kind of back that up some, because if it's not those two guys scoring, or if these guys, God forbid, get hurt, right in the hunt, this team's going to be a one and done.
No, you're absolutely right. I think the way they can really segue into better waters, you're only as strong as the depth you have on your bench. That's all there is to it. End of story. If you don't have, just like in the NBA, without bench depth, forget it. If you don't have guys in AA getting promoted to single A in major league play, you're nothing. You have nothing. You will win nothing. It's a consistently inconsistent ploy that you hear from owners all the time. Well, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. Okay, words are great. Let's follow the action, right? Let's follow what you're going to follow through with, what you're saying you're going to do, and not just give us lip service, because fans don't deserve that. They don't want that. They want to see wins and they want to see consistency. So if they strengthen the squad depth, they need to come over some of their tactical play on the field, whether you're talking to double and then pass, or to create shooting opportunities for would-be guys who otherwise are no one, right? Setting other people up to be able to win versus trying to win it all the time. And that's where you get more injuries, because these guys are overworking themselves. They're overworking their quads, their calves, their hips, their cardio's running out. My gosh, how many minutes can somebody actually play on the field? 55 plus every single game? Forget about it. It's all about injuries. But I think when you look at this overall, the audience is just tired of it. But you know who's not tired of winning or losing, for that matter? Wimbledon. Yes, I'm talking Wimbledon. I actually watched that game. Yeah. The whole match, everything about it, between Jannik Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz, and they have their great Rolex watches on, and it's sponsored by Rolex, and it's all great and wonderful. But I mean, Jannik Sinner came from behind. He came from behind to beat Alcaraz in a 4-set match. Are you kidding me? Skinner, okay, no, let me give you some backlog. Skinner and Alcaraz, if you weren't listening to the post-game conversation, it was like they're friends, and they actually are friends. They're friends off the court. They train with each other in the offseason. This time around, we know who got the best of who. Skinner got the best over Alcaraz. And then you look now, and I watched, like I said, I watched all these matches. It was great. Iga Swiatek was just an absolute beast, dominated against Anisimova. It was just a field day she had with her, and it wasn't even close. It's like she wasn't even breaking a sweat out on the court. It was fabulous. And then with every single match she watched, like, yes. So she was really motivated, got me motivated to watch. I can't believe I say a woman got me motivated to watch tennis, but she did. Did. And that right there is the best part. Then I see Mertens and Kurdomatova doing the doubles against Ostapenko and Hsieh, and somehow Hsieh and Ostapenko, they just lost rhythm. They just lost the rhythm in that game. They had the game won. They were almost at a championship point, and then, they just went flat and fell by the wayside. And then you look at the coverage. We're talking about coverage and how Wimbledon is kind of like, I don't know, a fickle beast, right? You either like tennis or you don't like tennis, or maybe you're just the casual, click. Okay, great, wonderful. She hit the ball with a racket that has splines on it. Okay, click away, right? Not like that at all. When people were watching this, Jordan, you can attest to this or not, that there was so much interest, it broke their own record of almost over 69.3 million online requests for Wimbledon coverage. That is insane. That is absolutely insane. You had A-listers there, actors, musicians, royals. The King of Spain was there to see Alcaraz play against Skinner. Are you kidding me? Who does that? But of course, leave it to the Spaniard. You gotta represent. So you showed up. What are your thoughts about Wimbledon? What did you like from it, or what did you dislike from it?
I love the whole process. I didn't get to watch as many doubles matches, but the singles matches, seeing these guys come up, and especially on the men's side, we like you said, Sinners 3-1, had to come back to win it for the championship. But lifetime, Alvarez versus Sinners. Who do you think's got the upper hand? Because I've got the statistic. It's going to blow some minds.
You know what? I was taking Alcaraz. Actually, I was taking Alcaraz to actually beat Sinner.
Alcaraz is up 8-5 lifetime in the major championships, whether it's US, ATP, or Wimbledon. It's 8-5, and these guys are only in their mid-20s. So this is a rivalry blooming before our eyes. I think they're going to be the face of the sport for a very long time, and this Wimbledon, I think, is just going to be one of many classics. And I think the attention to that also, because we've had a lot of names age out. We lost Serena Williams. We lost a lot of guys and gals growing up in the sport. We see the Joker's towards the end of his career. Djokovic is coming towards the end. He got to the semifinals, and just kind of all the guys that he came up in with the sport are kind of aged out, retired. You saw a lot of them in the crowd, and I think we kind of saw the new wave of the sport this year take shape. And I even will credit last summer's Olympics, being having tennis players front and center during that, and to build off that and to go straight into Wimbledon, not even 12 full calendar months later. So I think the fan base is really back and united. So I think tennis has a whole new face, and I really enjoyed that. I did think Sinners did get lucky, and I'm going to butcher the name, but Jordan Dimitrov, tore his pec when he was up 2-0 against Sinners, and Sinners was having a hell of a time trying to come back from that. So the fact that he got to move on to the finals because of that, there's a little bit of lady luck there, but Sinners made the most of the opportunity, and I think did his opponent proud, because if you lose, Rudy, you never want to lose, but if you lose, you want to lose to the champion. And that's always the way I've looked at it, both as a coach and a player, moving forward in life. So I think that, Sinners took the God-given opportunity for a game that he almost damn near lost, being down 2 sets. So, yeah. I thought it was all entertaining. Everything kind of fell together to one almost movie-like.
Yeah, it was. It had a Hollywood ending, if you will. But to your point, you know what? If you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. And Alcaraz is still extremely good. I take nothing away from his performance. I've seen him all over the court. The guy is just an absolute pleasure to watch. Sinner just took advantage of every single angle that he could. Questionable ball out, and it is what it is.
That's part of the sport.
Some technical, malfunction, if you will, or whatever you want to call it. Whatever works for you. Works for you. If it doesn't, then it doesn't. You'll just have to learn how to sleep at night. But speaking of sleeping, this has been a fabulous show. Good stuff. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. This was great. A great first show. Come back for more. Don't be strangers.
Absolutely.
Throw us a follow, like and subscribe on social. We like it. And of course, I'll say it here just like I say it on the Rude Dog Show. Like it, love it, and share it, because, well, we like that kind of thing. So appreciate the like and subscribe. Tune in. We'll have much more for you guys as we progress. So thanks for tuning in.
Absolutely. 1,111 viewers is what we're ending on tonight for our live audience. Thank you to everybody that tuned in. Like, subscribe, get involved. Check us out on YouTube. Go to Rudy's handle. I'll have it posted live up on Ohio Sports Talks page on all social medias. We'll see you next Monday at 8:30. If anything changes, we'll post it before then. But this has been the Coach Jordan Maxson. Rudy, welcome to the family. We're going to do some great things. We're going to take off, and we'll see you guys next time.
Sounds good. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Have a great night.